Don't. Just don't. Sometimes when we write, we make some mistakes. We sometimes make an oopsie daisy in a way. Sometimes something doesn't really go our way. Sometimes it just completely messes up. That's why we rewrite stuff, we correct them, and so on. But sometimes some decisions may result in, how can I say this? May worsen your series or completely ruin it without you even realizing. Which is why me, O.Othman, today I'm gonna tell you the don'ts in writing, some stuff that you might want to avoid when you write your next chapter. And hopefully you may understand a little bit, even if it wasn't that new or something you already heard before or something that isn't that serious. But whatever. We're here to just talk. I am O.Othman and I'm O.Othman, and today I'm gonna tell you about the don'ts in writing. Don't forget to like and subscribe, please. I need it. And let's get into the video.
Number 1. Please do not add safety nets. Now, what is a safety net? In my own definitions, a safety net is when you give out an extremely easy, quickly, and automatic solution to a problem that your story's tension created, so you don't have to write about the consequences or dealing with the change, which results in the stakes completely brushing off. Of course, that's just a bunch of words I'm spilling out of you that enters your left ear and exiting your right nostril. So what am I saying exactly? A safety net, let's give you an example. Let's assume you just finished off a war arc. Very big war arc, changed a lot of things, and so on. Alright, let's assume one of the important characters has their arm completely removed. Let's assume it just got cut off, or maybe they sacrificed it, whatever. Gone. Alright? Now, an example of a safety net in this situation would be if there was like some BS magic system that just revived the hand instantly. Or if there were prosthetics, like just right there, fully available, the character easily adapts to it, there is no change to it whatsoever, and the character doesn't learn or change from anything from that. The problem just gets fixed instantly, and it's just, why would I ever feel fear or have any sort of stakes watching that ever again? If I know that every single problem is just gonna get fixed because the aftermath of those problems are not going to be dealt with properly or even given enough care, then that would cause a lot of problems in my opinion. Now, safety nets are easy, and that's the issue. They're easy. They are always easy, and that, not everything that's easy is going to be good. Not everything, it could be easy, yeah, you're right, but it just also, again, it ruins it. Completely obliterates any sort of stakes in the future. It removes any sort of taking seriously of any serious moments, and just overall it's just not that good of a thing. And I don't know, I see it way too often, yet I just rarely see anyone talk about it. A way I would advise to dealing with safety nets is that you would want to think ahead before you write the changes in your war arc. It doesn't have to be a war arc, but any sort of massive change that would happen in your story. I believe you should write and think forward from ahead of before even writing those chapters, because you would have figured out what to do. You would have figured out how to deal with those changes. You would have figured out how the characters would deal with those, how the world would change, and so on, without having you to worry about dealing with the changes and just resulting in going the easy route and fixing those changes easily. Sometimes you could be in a rush and you end up fixing them. That's why when you think ahead, you wouldn't have to worry about any of that. And although the giant spectacle is what people care about the most, or how much people would that's the one that has the most eyes on it. All right, the big show, the awesome moment, the aura, the hype. The aftermath is also just as essential, because when the aftermath is not good, then what good was the spectacle? Anyways, that was number 1. Let's go to number 2. Number 2. Character favoritism. Now, but I will explain this in the next video, in another video. But for now, I'm just gonna like say what I think about this and what I mean and how you could potentially avoid this. Character favoritism by the name is kind of obvious. It's basically when you have a character that you just kind of favor over everyone else. I mean, we're human. Of course, we're gonna have biases in the end of the day, no matter who we are. But when character favoritism applies, your extra care over that one character just puts off everything else in the series just for them, and it may end up basically deteriorating the show in general just because of it. Now, these three characters on the screen are perfect examples of this, but again, I will explain this concept in a different video. But for now, they do have a certain theme where the author's overliking of these characters results in everyone else getting neglected, or just full on changing the plot of the story just to accommodate them. Having everything wrong they did be retconned or excused. Maybe they get the most amount of support, although they usually wouldn't really need as that much. Like, imagine if it was a toolbox, okay? Imagine when writing a story is building a house, alright? And the toolbox are your characters. The toolbox has a lot of different tools. And of course, just like a story, you're not going to use every single tool, let alone using all of them at the same quantity. But when you grab that favorite screwdriver of yours, like it's just a beautiful screwdriver, like the handle has like American stripes or something. It's your favorite. You love that screwdriver. You definitely shoved it up your ass. But yeah, the screwdriver would fix a lot of stuff in that house, but it's not gonna build a house. And when you just prioritize that screwdriver over everything else, you're not gonna accomplish much, and it's just gonna end up a failure. A failure just for your own self-fulfillment of that one screwdriver, rather than prioritizing everything you have to make something better. Because in the end of the day, characters are tools. Now, we can make characters expressive, we can make characters have personality, we can make characters feel alive, but in the end of the day, they're tools. They're tools. They're just an object. They're just a mere object. Just like the plot, just like the setting, just like everything. They're just tools the author uses to give out a story. They're not your friends. They're not actual beings for you to feel that emotionally attached to. Now, a fan being emotionally attached to that character, that's one thing. But the authors themselves, that screws over everything. So, my advice is to just maybe pick up a hammer or a wrench next time. Number 3. Avoid lore dumping. Should be easy. Apparently not. Lore dumping is basically when you perform the biggest act of writing terrorism in existence, which is tell not show to its extreme. What you basically do is you have information in the face of lore just straight up thrown at you without any sort of subtlety, without any sort of build up, without nothing, just to get it out of the way, to just explain it like you're in a goddamn school. Alright? And it just sucks, alright? One of the worst ways is when you just have one character just sit down, your main character, and then they just explain, ولك اخرس. In my opinion, a natural way to give out information without sounding like you're teaching people, or without sounding like you're just giving out breadcrumbs, is to just have the viewer be shown rather than be told. Have the characters find out themselves rather than explain, or worse, having the narrator explain every single detail. It's even worse when just a narrator explains everything. It's just a Hunter x Hunter page. It's just text. Just shut up. All right. It's just, yeah, we're human. We're dumb. We need stuff to be explained to us. But challenge us a little bit. Have it told subtly. Have it told in a way where you don't have to full on say it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Look, when a character tells a character a piece of information, that isn't technically lore dumping. But when you explain entire histories in one sitting, without like slowly explaining it throughout the story on appropriate times, it just ends up like I'm not here to be sat in a chair and just have someone yap to me. I'm here to express like astaghfirullah al-azim wa atubu ilayh, to experience a story. So give me that experience. Simple as that. Number 4. Daydreaming too far ahead. Alright? There was a random sound. Anyways, so this one I used to be very guilty of, and I bet a lot of people are guilty of it. It's basically where like you would daydream about your writing, about your story, but rather than actually daydreaming about the parts where you want to write, you daydream about like something that happens a billion chapters later. That's like the coolest moment. Like, yeah, the super duper epic fight is gonna be awesome. It's gonna be released on YouTube with like 20 million views on the first day, and it's gonna be a cultural phenomenon. Yeah, it's gonna be like the best thing ever. You know, everyone's just gonna glaze you. Everyone will get down for you. Like, you're just gonna be the best ever, right? Everyone's gonna make memes out of it. You're just gonna be the completely best. You're just gonna retire by 25 or something, and then khalas, you're just gonna be fine because that's the cool part. You know, the cool part. You should not be yapping about this when you are still writing chapters in the single digits, barely getting up and actually writing. And you're daydreaming about like chapter 50 or something. Like, listen, I know that daydreaming about the cool parts is just easier than like focus on like the beginner chapters. I have to like begin and write about the story and whatever. I have to like build it up. But honestly, if your beginning chapters aren't getting you interested, then broski, I think those chapters need to be changed or be altered a little bit so that you don't focus on the special chapters, because if you're not going to be intrigued by it, I don't think anyone will be. How I fixed myself from this mindset basically is, if I just daydreamed about the parts that I wanted to write, listen, daydreaming isn't completely useless. It's writing without writing. Like, trust me, it's completely useful. I mean, come on, listen, I mean, just believe. But no, in all seriousness, like for example, if I had chapter 4 in due, I would have myself in my free time daydream about chapter 4, for example. I would like try to focus on, I like that part. Okay, what's the next part though? And then just think about it in my head. And I just have to delay the chapters that I'm more interested in to, you know, when I build up to them, because, you know, you need to focus on the present too. Like, building a future is fine, but there won't be any future if you didn't begin a present. I mean, come on, that's a bar, dude. That's a bar. Number 5, plot. What is that, dude? The mic changed, don't question it. You could have some very cool characters, like very cool characters. You know, they're awesome, they got iconic moments for 16 minutes and 20 seconds and whatever. But what about the plot? Like, I know this might sound like a silly point, but I'm genuinely serious. Like, your characters help with the story, but they're not the story. Alright? Like, unless you're writing an episodic show or a one-shot, or if you're writing a continuous series, like in general, if you're writing a continuous series, you need something to keep the series going, which is, you know, a plot. Characters can be contributors to the plot, but again, they're not the plot. And if you write, you know, episodic or one-shot types, then, dude, you deserve better, man. Come on. Not focusing on your story for a while could just make your story struggle in the long term. I mean, imagine you're just moving and moving and moving and moving without like any sort of motive or any sort of reason. And no, we're just not gonna wait 200 chapters until, you know, a plot, until like something to do with, because like once like a way to know if a series is struggling with plot is if you're struggling to explain it in a summary that has to be like a paragraph long and not a whole goddamn novel in an explanation. And if you're finding yourself explaining like the first, second, and third chapter, but you're not actually like that's not a summary. You're just happy to explain it, and that shows you don't have a plot. Listen, I know it's like if your series lacks a main plot, I would recommend doing some changes. I know it hurts that you would have to like deal with changing stuff you worked so hard for. I understand that, but wouldn't you want that hard work to pay off? Because I feel like trust me, it would be for the better. Like even it doesn't have to be massive changes. It could be small changes, and you wouldn't really realize it. You just find out that these small changes may help you for the better, and it might alter the story maybe just slightly or maybe severely, but for once it would fix the problem and actually give you a damn plot, a goddamn plot. Examples on how I would change it would be. Hold on, let me pull out the script real quick. Shut up, yes, I know it's shameless. Okay. The main character's motives, what events happen, the world around them, backstories beforehand. And it would be draining, yeah, to do some changes, but in the end, it may be more work, but you will be rewarded for it, I promise. Number 6, man, when will this video end? I will be the new best big thing! Nah, bro, nah. This mindset is not good for writers. Like, at all. It's not good in the slightest. And by the way, myself, the O.Othman, the person who's giving you these stuff, the person you're looking at in the screen while my eyes are probably looking at the script or at the wall. I myself also had to deal with this. I mean, technically I still do, but like, I understand why people deal with this. And honestly, it's a very common thing that can alter the brain in a way to act a little more selfishly. The ambition is basically birthed when you want to go big from the project you're publishing. You want to become a name. You want to become the big thing. You expect it to become like to just be praised endlessly, and you won't have to work hard ever again. And they're just gonna have to retire by 25, and then you're just gonna see your series in a bunch of YouTube shorts and Instagram reels about being one of the goats and whatever. And your series would just get pinned next to on the greatest of all time billboard that doesn't really exist. And honestly, it's a very toxic mindset, because in the end we humans will fail, whether we like it or not. Sometimes we succeed, but we don't always succeed. And sometimes we are expected, once the slightest bit of doing well, that we will just forever be well. And I just don't think that's realistic. In this money-hungry industry, going big can only be achieved by 4 ways. Number 1, joining an already established corporation. A big corp, you just go in there, hope they don't obliterate you and make you a slave for them as you work, just for the hopes that you be free and actually do well, while they gain money from you, and the second not a less dollar is squeezed out of you, they're just gonna throw you away like the rest. Number 2 is, just make your own sort of corporation or own efforts, just like how indie companies are doing in a way, just collaborating with others that are confused, lost, young, extremely inexperienced. No, they probably have experience, but not corporation experience, because as we see by the indie sphere, this kind of stuff is slowly building up. Number 3 is just self-publishing, and then just instantly switch up on your day ones the second a company like Amazon comes up to you. Wink wink. And number 4, self-publishing and just keeping the success to yourself, but you might see slower increase, as it would be more difficult to put your stuff out there or gaining from it. I just realized number 1 and number 3 are the same, and number 2 and number 4 are the same. But anyway, at least you get what I mean. You know what I mean? Like, at least you understand what I mean. What I will say is, don't aim to be someone else, alright? That is one of the worst things. You're like, I'm gonna be the next Star Wars, I'm gonna be the next Avatar. like, you're not gonna be those because they're not you and you're not them. And like, there's a reason why every single book in a library is different from the other. It's their creators. They may look the same, they may have the same portion, the same size, they might have the same amount of pages, but its content is different because its people are different. You're not gonna make an Avatar or a Star Wars. You're gonna make your project, and there's something beautiful in that. As you don't have to be the next someone else, why not be the first you? And honestly, that's a good thing. Okay, last part, number 7. Let's just get this shit over with. This will be the last one, and I might need a little bit of explaining محمد مالك مش عارف تحكي explaining to do, right? One and dump. What am I talking about? One and dump, which that's how I call it, that's it, it's trademarked, it's mine now, that this is my thing. Every single time you use this letter, it's just gonna be for me, alright? One and dump is basically where you get a character, let's assume a very close side character, or maybe a secondary main character, or whatever. It's someone that's very close, like a character that is frequently shown. And in a specific arc, this character gets some sort of development. Their story gets expanded on, or they develop in some way. And that's good and fine, it's very good, and the fans of this character would be very happy to see this. And then the second the arc ends, character, like that specific character, gone. Like just full on gone. And the author would just never do anything for them ever again. And they become the same status as background characters. And I understand why authors do this, because when you see that arc and then it ends, the author sometimes believes that that's kinda actually the end for that character. When in some cases you, the audience, would know that's not the case. And sometimes it's much more difficult for these characters if they're not really close to the main character, because the main characters are gonna get the attention they need. Whether you like it or not, they will definitely get more attention than some sort of side characters. But sometimes these characters would get reduced to background characters. And listen, we all know, I explained this in another point. Some background characters are not gonna get as much attention as some main characters, and that's fine. That's how stories work. But come on, just hold on, let me take a breather. Sometimes the fans of these characters would sometimes expect more, but then they just end up feeling disappointed. Again, I keep repeating myself, I'm sorry. It's just that not every character is gonna get the same treatment. But when you finish off a good amount of seasons, that you'd have to count on them with 2 fingers, and then only 2 or 3 characters throughout the whole damn thing actually get full development, or even just a slight bit of development. Come on, that's just laughable. I feel like a way you can deal with this is that you pin your characters and figure out time to put them when you're able to. In a way, it helps you not forget those characters, and it makes you not having to create endlessly amount of characters, and you could be like, oh wait, I used this guy before, I could put this guy in this scenario, rather than having to deal with making a new one. And overall, I think this is a much better way, because it makes your story more diverse with its characters, while also satisfying the most amount of audiences with the development of more characters, as it makes room for others. And remember that they are an important foundation to your story. Characters in general are important for you, and the more that do well, the more people are going to be intrigued by your efforts and by your ability to have these many characters do so well. Of course, I'm not saying you have to aim to just have the most characters, the most development, and then end up having 1 billion seasons or something. But I'm just saying that you could maybe put a little bit of care onto those characters. I mean, the one and dump is quite similar to the solution for character favoritism. And in the end, I just like on one hand, don't make like a million characters like One Piece and then turning your story into like an ocean that's filled with characters, and like as a millisecond that you don't add a character onto it to keep the sinking ship afloat, the whole story just drops in a way, rather than actually going back and reusing them and then making a whole endlessly expanding universe that just never stops growing, and the second it ends it's just gonna all pop and become complete worthlessness and chaos. I definitely like One Piece 100%. Like, it's so obvious that what's my opinion on One Piece, man. But on the other hand, as I said in character favoritism, don't favor too little characters and actually focus on others, as it may be a secret gold mine onto having more stuff going on with your story, which is what you usually want, right? I mean, we all want that. Yeah, you want that. Yeah, you want that, whether you like it or not. You want that! Okay, that's all for the videos, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you all enjoyed it. This whole YouTube thing honestly is kind of new to me, and I'm trying to like find my footing onto it, to be honest. I'm probably gonna buy a new mic, maybe some new headphones, and maybe actually make myself look good for once. But honestly, it's not really like, it is very difficult, but like when you find the right things, you end up feeling quite satisfying when doing it. Let's just hope editing isn't a complete nightmare. But yeah, see you in the next one, my little artists and writers. This was O.Othman, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Hope you have a good day. Yeah, what, you thought it was gonna be like, oh wow, what is he gonna look like without the glasses? No, I just used this to like read the script without you guys noticing. Look at my beautiful big black eyes. Look at them. Okay, that's it. Okay, bye.